What's good, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. You already know the vibes. We thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. We have a lot to get into because a lot's been going down in the National Basketball Association. There is a big-time MVP debate between Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Big-time game last night featuring Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the Oklahoma City Thunder went into Boston and beat the Celtics without their all-star in Jalen Williams. We also have to talk about what's going on in the world of college basketball because that is where Danny is kind of toiling at this current moment as he is covering the Big Ten tournament. But before we get into all of those things, Danny, I think you're welcome now into my world. The world of non-athletes. People who don't get paid to be in shape. Yeah. Guys, before we started recording this episode, Danny pulled out the push-up bar, a little travel push-up set where you can set the arms or you can set the hands to do back targeted push-ups, chest targeted push-ups, tricep, shoulder targeted push-ups. And it's all because Danny is realizing how difficult it can be to be in top-tier shape where you're not getting a professional contract that promotes you to be in top physical shape. Welcome to the real world, Danny.
You have a 9-to-5er. Yeah, bro. It was, I had taken some time off and I was, doing some cardio, making sure I can fit well, fit well in a suit. I'm like, all right, I'm just make sure I stay in shape because I refuse to change my suit sizes.
It's a lot of money to change your suit size.
It's a pain in the ass. But then I said I stopped lifting, but I was on vacation. I took some time off. I took a look in the mirror. I did not like what I saw. The muscle definition wasn't there. I was like, nah. I got to get back on my Grizzlies, son. So I had to, get that push-up bar and get some weights in because the muscle definition just wasn't there.
Yeah, man, it's different now. It's if you remember around this year, last time I started getting real dedicated into my fitness. I was working out 6 days a week, doing yoga. Yo, it's a lot. It's very, and I think I complained about it then and I'm complaining about it now. It's super difficult to go to the gym, still keep in touch with all your loved ones, and still have a social life. And now obviously you have a kid. So it's to do all of the things that a human is expected to do and still get 7 to 8 hours of sleep.
Nah, you're not getting the sleep.
I don't know how people do it.
Nah, son. So as I'm looking at the schedule, said when you have kids too, unless you get a nap, you're not getting 8 hours of sleep. You got to find time to fit in outside of work. Some people don't work, as some people work a lot, but outside of work and kids to fit your health in of working out and get on your schedule. And then people have nightly routines, and trying to watch a show. You don't have time for everything. You got to pick and choose one. You got to eliminate something. If you want to read or you know what I'm saying? Your own hobbies outside of work, outside of working out is not enough time in the day. You can get a solid 6 hours maybe if you're, efficient.
Yeah, no, and then you still gotta what? You still gotta keep tabs on your loved ones. You gotta show love and affection to the person you're dating or that you're married to or that you're engaged to. I honestly don't. And then when you work, and then when you watch sports like I do, and sports and 1 o'clock Eastern, the NBA does on a nightly basis. Well, as I was going through my fitness journey, I started to notice that I would lose more body fat when I would get my 8 hours of sleep. But if I watch NBA to the end of the night, okay, boom, that's 1 o'clock, right? Then I can't,
you're in the East Coast.
Yeah. Then I can't go to bed till 2 a.m. All right, bet. So let me get my 8 hours of sleep. Now, 10 a.m. If I wake up at 10 a.m., now there's certain things that I can't do the next day because everything is pushed back because you're really trying to, if you start your day at 8 a.m., it's a lot easier to get things accomplished. It's incredibly difficult. There's just not enough time. Things and people have to be sacrificed.
For sure. Unless you live on the West Coast, take care of some of those problems. But you got to, if you're a single person, relationship is one of the hardest things you can have in your life. You have to work on constantly. But I said you can get the 8 throughout the day. If you get a little hour or two nap, as long as you get 6 through the night and get a 2-hour nap window in the middle of the day, you can figure it out. But yeah, realistically, as an adult that takes care of other people outside of yourself, you're responsible for children or a relationship and job, you're not getting 8 hours comfortably. You can get a hibernation day at the end of the week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You make Sundays where you get good 10, 12 hours, catch up on some sleep. But 8 hours consistently?
It's tough.
Nah. As an adult, no. More responsibilities?
Might I interest you, Danny? Might I interest you in yoga?
Yes.
Yoga
absolutely.
is...
Yoga and Pilates, they're really good. The small muscles is good. But I said, I still got to get my, and you know what I noticed, bro? And this is most important than anything. Like we do all these hobbies that we love, you know, to like certain people like certain workouts. And that's all great. But for me, it's like, as a man, especially, you got to have survival skills.
Yeah.
And another thing I learned on vacation, I hadn't swam in a long time. And not that I can't swim, but it's like trying to do laps, hold your breath. If we get stuck, I'm the guy that's looked at if there's a flood, like if I'm trying to save the family, I got to make sure my body is a weapon. You know what I'm saying? I got to make sure that I'm able to protect, provide, also survive, and help others survive. So I'm making sure I'm strong enough to do that, make sure the legs and knees are good, getting back into swimming, biking, whatever it is. And when I get some downtime, I definitely want to learn outside of learning how to box and fight and taekwondo and stuff like that. Like, you know, when the kids get older, doing survival camps, learning how to make a fire, learning how to do, you know, those things I feel like are important, but also having your body in shape to survive.
Yes.
It's like, look, I cannot allow myself to get in a place where I can't fight for, I know I'm getting older, but if something happens, I need to make sure that I can protect the household.
Yeah. I understand.
I can't get my ass whooped in the street in front of my kids. That's not happening. You know what I'm saying?
That is for damn sure. I feel like we could talk about this for days, but let's get into the hoops of it all. And before we get into the National Basketball Association, I am so curious because right now, correct me if I'm wrong, you're in
Indianapolis. Yes, I'm in Indianapolis. I got a chance to watch the Rutgers USC game last night. My guy, Coach Musselman, and Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, and got to watch all the hype last night, and it was a thriller. Double overtime game, went to the stretch. It was dope. It started off kind of slow. It was ugly, but ended up being a really good game.
I got two questions about the college game. So right now you're doing radio for the Big Ten tournament.
Yep, Compass Media.
And number one, Danny, there was so much hype behind Ace Bailey, who's probably going to be the number 2 pick in the draft. Some people even say he has a higher ceiling than Cooper Flagg. And then there was hype about Dylan Harper. And this Rutgers team was supposed to these two players were supposed to help rejuvenate the Rutgers program. Yeah, they're going to be they're not going to the tournament. They're probably going to be in the NIT. Why didn't these two lottery level talents translate to at least this team being a tournament team?
A lot of factors, actually. One is this is their first year together. They are still rookies. They're still freshmen, you know. And there's teams out there with 22, 23-year-olds that have been together for some time. They just don't have the maturity. So as good as you are, it doesn't matter. Individually, it's a team sport, bro. And teams that have had gel and chemistry together, this is their first year playing together. I don't think they played high school basketball. Maybe AAU. I don't think they played high school basketball together like that. This is their first time in a real system playing together and gelling together. Among some other freshmen that they had there too. Their team is stacked with a lot of younger players. The biggest thing is also the coach being able to try to adjust to that type of form. Like they're not used to getting those type of players there. So they don't know how to systemize their offense around featuring these guys while also winning basketball games and defense. Yesterday, there was a thing that they found, and it got them in the game, and it got them to lead in the game. Ultimately, they stopped doing it, and I think it was because of fatigue. They looked a little bit out of shape, but they started pressing. USC doesn't have a true point guard. Now, Desmond Claude is a very good basketball player and very good, on-ball guard, but he's not a true point guard. He's more of a scoring combo guard, Cade Cunningham, but against the press, he did not look very comfortable against it. And they went on a 15-3 run and ended up taking the lead at some point. They got tired. You could tell they were fatigued, and they stopped pressing and ultimately went back and forth of a team of wills of who was going to outlast the mental aspect of the game and execute down the stretch. And Ace Bailey fouled out. They went into double overtime, and without him, it was tougher for Dillon to get it done. But I think it's the combination of the fact that they were young, the fact that the coaching staff is not used to coaching them, and it takes time to put a group together, especially young freshmen that are trying to go to the league, to get them to buy in. But mainly those two things.
It's going to be incredibly difficult. I have to imagine it's so difficult to be in this NIL world, Danny, right? Like where you got to pay these guys X amount of dollars just to come on campus, but also you still have the transfer portal. So, and you have guys staying later in their career. So you're paying, I'm just throwing a number out there. You're paying $250,000 for this, as Dick Vitale would say, this diaper dandy to come on campus, right? And you're paying them 250 racks. And the team that you're playing against has a guy on an NIL deal for $100,000 transferring from Kansas now for his senior year, and he's still good too, and he's a lot older. So it's like at a certain point, like when I go, like it's a little bit different now, but I remember, like I'm sure every hooper can remember, sometimes you just beat somebody because you're older.
Yeah.
Like,
or because you just have a group that's been together longer. You know what I'm saying? There's guys with all the talent in the world. We see it time and time again. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not to put categories on, but people don't look at as little Jewish guys as the most athletic. But I've seen a team full of Jewish kids give some guys the work. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because they have a great chemistry, they have a great, they have a system, they have a great offense. So yeah, it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter your stature. A lot of times sometimes it's age and just maturity, and a lot of times it's just chemistry. This team has been together for 4 years. They know each other well, and that just gives them a 10-point advantage against you. It takes you
straight up
5 minutes to get into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember. Actually, it reminds me when I was in college. We participated in the flag football tournament, right? And the winner of our campus was then going to play all of New York, all of upstate New York campuses, and then the winner of the upstate New York campuses then plays all of New York. And then essentially it was a national tournament that we were signed up for, right? And the team was just like a bunch of my homies. Some of them played on the basketball team at Cornell. Some of them played on the football team at one point, whether they dropped out the team for whatever reasons. But like we carried the swagger, like we're all, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yo,
we got, you know what I'm saying? We
walk on the field with that aura. It's SGA.
It's flag football. It's a wrap for all y'all. Then there was this team, bro. This team this team from like some Mormon school who had been together for years, bro. They waxed us. I'm talking about giving the sticks in Madden. Like we were down 21-zip, couldn't score. Like we thought like they had plays, they had like different formations. We were like, yo.
I was gonna use this story. Is reminding me of a story of a homies very well that got their ass kicked in Canada. So we were on an Indian reservation. There's a 3-on-3, and Dunk, Span, Hector. These are guys that are all D1 prospects, but ended up going to D2 and were all world. Some of the top, and they're some of the best basketball players we've seen come out of New York, from Long Island, anyway. They played against and these guys were probably in their 30s, late 30s at the time. I think it was like 10 years ago. So we were in our late 20s.
Yeah.
Tomahawk strong, but plays out they got waxed. They walked off that court so upset and disappointed and frustrated. I think Darren walked home, bro. He was mad as hell. They out there trying to foul him, trying to get him to miss, and it's outside double rims. It's their home court. They playing on double rims, used to the win. They know exactly. You know what I'm saying? They got waxed, and they went home. And I'm like, y'all better pick this up. Y'all about to get smoked out here. Sure enough, Span volunteered them to play, and Dunk's like, yo, what you got me doing out here? And they thought it was going to be a cakewalk. And the boys were sweating and very upset walking home that day.
Experience means something for sure. All right, we got to get to the NBA, but just one more question. Mm-hmm. As now, I think this is the second weekend now, or you've been obviously you did some NCAA tournament coverage last year, and you're doing some college basketball coverage this year. As you watch the college game, what is the one thing that is sticking out to you the most? It could be anything related to, but it has to be something related to on the court.
Yeah, that's changed.
Not even I'm not even saying that it's changed, but what is the one thing that's like standing out to you? Could it be the number of 3-pointers? Could it be the systems that are being run? It could be the immaturity of players. It could be whatever, something that maybe sticks out to you the most.
The thing that sticks out to me the most is that the change of players on each team every year. And they're like, when I'm talking radio, it's like, oh, this guy came from this place and that place, and this is his first year back home. Like, just how many transfers that are in and out. That's one big thing. But the biggest thing that I see that's a difference that I like is a lot of teams are taking the pro philosophies and bringing it to college. Now, they're not able to execute it. Defensive philosophies, like, pick and rolls, guys are forcing things down. They're calling down or ice, things like that. And offensively, they are driving and kicking and looking for three, but it's not as many threes as NBA. It's still, pretty good brand of basketball, getting to the free throw line and mid-range, and they're taking good shots 3-point wise because they're not great 3-point shooters, everybody. So they know themselves, they know their game. But I do see a lot of pro philosophies being integrated in the defensive system and some offense. But also that has changed, which is a good thing. And instead also just knowing that it's really a free agency, and the NIL is a big thing of changing how college is approached and how guys every year are free agents.
It is amazing, like the lack of stability that college players have now. Like they can't even call one college campus home. Like it's so typical now for one player to be at like 3 different schools throughout the course of his college career. It's wild. That is for sure. All right, let's get to the NBA now. And you mentioned 3-pointers, and I just want to point out that the Boston Celtics on Wednesday night shot 63 3-pointers in their 6-point loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They went 20 of 63. And part of me, Danny, says, you're damn right. You should lose.
Yeah, it was 31%. Is that 30-some percent? Is that what it was?
That's 31%, yeah. And part of me is saying, you're damn right. You should lose. It's to shoot that many threes is ridiculous. But then I also say, Danny, that's probably why the Celtics are going to win again. Because if you can get up that much volume, eventually, and I'm telling you, I hate it. And I'm like, not because I'm a Knicks, and not just because I'm a Knicks fan. But because I'm a basketball fan, I'm rooting against the Boston Celtics. With that being said, they are breaking the math. Like, if you are legitimately able to get up that many attempts,
you give yourself a very good chance. It's hard to even get that.
You're going to win.
Yeah.
You are going
to score a lot more points. And if you have guys that can shoot at a pretty good clip. Now, it's also quality. If you're getting better quality, the key is to get as many uncontested as possible. Now, I'm sure there was at least 20 of those contested, but if you get 40 uncontested threes, that's a really good opportunity to make 20 out of 40. And so I think they probably made 20 out of 40 out of those. And then the other 20 are probably contested, which made it be 63. But it kind of waters down the value, or I guess the product of the sport, because there's so much more to the game that's in between. But it's like, that coach that got fired that had a system where I don't think they played much defense. They just got the ball out, threw it up court, and everybody shot as many threes as possible. The one kid had 108 points or something like that.
Was that Grinnell College back in the day?
Probably, but I think
that's what you're talking about, Grinnell College.
His mind back in the day was, I'm gonna get as many threes as possible. I'm gonna get this guy to leak out and shoot because he's our best shooter. We're gonna score a lot of points because we're just gonna keep shooting threes. It sounded crazy at the time, but he might have been ahead of his time.
Yeah,
he might have been ahead of his time.
Now, if this was an NCAA tournament type of style in the NBA playoffs, the Celtics would, they'd be liable to have a 16-1 upset. because
Yeah.
they shoot so
But
much.
it's a 7-game series, so eventually, and you're gonna shoot better. You might have one bad night, or maybe two, but even then, you're okay. To get back into the series. So
They have broken the mold. I think part of me hates it because I think Jason Tatum is too talented to be this type of system that they have Jason Tatum playing in. I don't think it allows him to showcase all that he's able to do. I think, frankly, for the entire team, it doesn't allow them to showcase what they can do because they just shoot so many threes. But from a team winning aspect, it's just so many that I don't like the Celtics. I don't like the Celtics. I don't like them at all. And I don't want to root for them. But again, if you could take that many with confidence in a span of a 7-game series, I don't see any team, if they're healthy now, that's going to be able to beat them because the math is always going to break in their favor.
Unless you find a team that's smart enough to slow the game down and make them take twos. They don't get enough they won't get enough volume of threes. So you have a team like OKC where Shea is getting to the free throw line a lot. They're hitting threes and also scoring free throw line and forcing Boston defensively. They're able to scramble. You're going to have to finish out our bigs. You got to finish with Chet and Isaiah. We're taking away all 3-pointers. You're going to have to beat us with all 2s. Now, eventually, they'll still get maybe 33s up, but it's not their offense that they're used to doing, and they're not scoring as many points. So in a 7-game series, you have a team good enough defensively to take away 3 and switch down the line and just say, hey, if you guys get us with 2s, fine. But we're going 2s and 3s on the other end.
You 100% need a team that feels comfortable switching everything in order to beat the Celtics. And I know they lost last night, but that's, in my opinion, that's an anomaly. They're not going to – if they get that many threes up, they're going to win 90% of the game that they play in my opinion, if they're fully healthy. But that's part of the reason why I'm rooting against them because I think it's – I can't knock them for doing what
it's cheating the system.
It's cheating. Is gaming the system. That's for sure. But it works. It works. It's a catch-22. I can't knock a team for trying to win. I can also be mad as a basketball purist at them essentially gaming the system. With that being said, let's turn our attention to the other side of the matchup, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who were able to get that victory. And Danny, I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted about the Oklahoma City Thunder because they have the best record in the Western Conference. They had the best record last year. They have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who, in many people's opinion, is the MVP. And you and I can have that discussion later on in the show about who's the MVP between him and Nikola Jokic. But I look at their formula for winning, and I truly cannot be confident that they can even go all the way to the NBA Finals. And
they can't make it out of the West? You think they can?
I obviously think they can, but I would not feel comfortable betting that. I couldn't put my money on that because
so who is the team that you think can beat them in a 7-game series that you're concerned with? If you're OKC, who is the team that you're like, I'm not too comfortable against?
Well, I'll tell you the reasons behind the Thunder, and you and I maybe could name some teams. Maybe let's do this, Danny. Let's name our top 3 contenders to the Oklahoma City Thunder. But let me state the things about the Thunder that do concern me. I know a lot of people tout the fact that they're number 1 in forced turnovers, number 1 in points off turnovers, and number 1 on steal rate, and all these things. Deflections. You're not like, I'm sorry, but if you're playing, and I'm not saying that the Nuggets are the team that's going to beat them, but if you're playing Nikola Jokic, I'm sorry, you're not getting 30 points off turnovers because you're not turning over Jokic. If you're playing Luka Doncic, the guy who beat them in the Western Conference semifinals last year, I'm sorry, you're not turning over Luka for 25 points in a game. Like, you're not
the only team to me that would concern me if I'm OKC. Because you have a Bron, you have a Luka, you have Austin, who's good with the ball. Like, these 3 guys, now you don't have interior, but you guys don't have a bunch of interior scoring either. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you have a Jokic in OKC. So Lakers, is the only team. And I didn't like the mix and matchup with Luka and Bron. I didn't think it would work. But they've made it, and Bron's out right now, but they somehow made it work. And they've been scoring well. They've been playing, they've been defending pretty well also. So that's the only team that if I'm OKC, I don't feel, because Memphis, I just don't think is ready yet. Houston, the same. They're a really good team, but I don't think they're ready yet. But you have Segun, who's also good, but they're just young still and kind of somewhat immature. So it's kind of a 50-50. Like, they're both similar in stature. OKC and Houston are similar to me. This Houston hasn't been in the playoffs enough. This is their first year kind of getting out of the trenches. So outside of Lakers, Denver I think they could turn Denver over. Jamal Murray he's not the same Jamal Murray we've seen in the past. He is smart with the ball, but he plays better in the playoffs. We do know that. But it's him, Russ, like, who else is the ball handlers? Like, those two guys are
Jokic.
Good, but they have to somebody has to sit down. Like, at some point Jamal has to sit down, and it's Russ. The guard play on their perimeter, he has no other real he's not Jokic.
Yeah. Back
to MVP. It's hard to not vote for Jokic when they're number 2 in the West and he has no other all-stars on his team.
For sure.
So on that perimeter and on that bench, they have no depth. Inside they're great, but that's a team that I feel like if I'm OKC, I'm pretty confident. Minnesota, they just don't look that they're young and very turnover prone as well. I think I could turn them over also when they have Julius who handles the ball some. These in the playoffs, Anthony Edwards, he's going to have to play a lot of minutes and carry the load both sides of the ball. I don't know if he's able to do that for 48 minutes for a 7-game series. He's not. He needs help. So there's not many other teams that I look at in the West and I go, I'm nervous or I'm not comfortable playing if I'm OKC outside of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Are they turning over Golden State? I'm just saying. Here's the thing. So there's
not turning over, but they have enough pieces to guard Golden State. I still have to see. I like Golden State, and I like what Kuminga does. But if they can just trap Steph, make other guys shoot threes, that's when now Jimmy has another line. You keep Jimmy off the free throw line, but make everybody else shoot threes but Steph. I think you're okay. I think they just have enough. They have enough offense, enough force, enough defense to contain Golden State. So yes, they can turn over. They can turn over Golden State because you keep the ball in Steph's hands. There's some turnover-prone guys there.
So you have that's the one element of the Thunder. They are super reliant on for turning teams over, getting deflections, points off of turnovers, XYZ. Then the other thing, and Brian Windhorst pointed this out the other day on, I believe it was First Take. He pointed out that the Oklahoma City Thunder are 25th in assist rate. They're not a high passing team. And Danny, obviously one of your titles was one with the Spurs, who perfected
the ball and
the swing action.
They rely a lot on Shea getting to the free throw line, getting to the basket, and creating off plays. But they do know to play pretty good team basketball. I don't know why they're so far in assists, because I've seen plays where they swing it some, but I can see where it does get stagnant, where Jalen and Shea, SGA kind of just go, in their bag type thing.
If for the Oklahoma City Thunder to make it to the finals, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he's capable of this, is going to have to probably be the best player in the NBA.
And he has been outside of Jokic.
He has been.
But they're going to need – I think it's more than just that. They're going to need Chet and Jalen to play well. You know what I'm saying? And then those other guys going to – but SGA has to be SGA. Chet and Jalen have to step up and play well. Isaiah has to do well like those others. They have to outlast teams and have their depth be their strength. So the bench has to come in and punch teams in the face.
Yeah, I truly believe that they would have problems with the Lakers because, as I said, they're not going to be able to turn over Luka and LeBron. And I think Luka and LeBron are such master processors. Like, they'll just process the game where whatever OKC tries to throw at them, they will have a counter for it, and they'll be able to execute the counter. Now, will Gabe Vincent make shots? Will Jared Vanderbilt make shots? Will Rui Hachimura make shots? We'll see. But I don't think there's going to be something that OKC throws at them that they won't have a counter for readily available. And I think that's gonna give OKC some issues if that matchup happens. I also think the same of the Golden State Warriors. While I'm not fully confident the Kuminga thing is going to work because of the floor spacing, I don't think that they're going to be able to happily. They're not going to be able to generate the same points off turnovers like they're accustomed to.
For sure.
And even with the Nuggets, if Jokic is bringing up the ball, which he's been obviously he does a lot.
If Jamal Murray plays like Jamal Murray of the playoffs, it's going to be a tough one for them. They're not.
Yeah.
But if the Nuggets, says with the lack of depth and perimeter play and shooting that they have all year, they just don't have enough to keep up with OKC to me. So
and I will say the Timberwolves will have some problems scoring against OKC, but if you've been watching how the Timberwolves have been playing, they've won their last 5. They've won their last 11 games with Julius Randle in the lineup. With Julius Randle in the lineup, they've won their last 11 games. They have Jaden McDaniels. They have a bunch of guys coming off the bench. I do think that they can give OKC with their with their low passing volume team some issues in terms of them being able to score. I don't know if they'll be able to score back in response, though.
Has Julius been back that long? I feel like I didn't know he played the 11 games. I thought he's only played a couple of games.
He's been back. All right. So they've won the last 6 with him in the lineup. He missed all of
prior to that. He made the 8-5 because they won some games with him out the lineup, and they were like, you know what? You know, they were still doing some good things when he wasn't playing. So I was impressed with that, and I was interested to see what happened when he came back. So they've been playing well. I still just don't believe in them, man. It's hard to put faith in Minnesota.
The one player who's back on his Grizzly, and nobody really talks about him, but as somebody who got to watch him last year, Dante DiVincenzo is back. Watched the game last night against the Nuggets. He's pulling up unconsciously from 3. He's got that same swagger he had with the Knicks. He's got it back now in Minnesota. It took him a while to get there. If he turns into basically a starter who's coming off the bench, I think that's a big boost for them as well. All right, let's move it on. It's going to be the whole Thunder thing is fascinating to me because they're clearly a great team. But I think almost everybody's still you got to prove it when it really matters.
That's what every team. Period. Yeah. Nobody's a believer until you make them a believer. When they talk about Cleveland, you talk about OKC, all these teams, we don't believe in you, even Minnesota, until you show them that you're, worthy. Yeah,
that's it. And that's that. Okay, let's get into this MVP discussion. If I gave you a vote today,
this is tough, bro.
This one's incredibly difficult. The case. We know the case for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, leading the NBA in scoring, best record in the NBA, best player on the team with the best record. His scoring is incredible. He's shooting over 50% from the field. He's efficient. He has very good defensive metrics as well. And I think something that was actually pointed out, and I never really considered this, Danny, pointed out by Colin Cowherd. We have to give some credit to SGA because he is leading the second youngest team in the NBA. That, I think that has to stand for. It's not like he's leading a team full of veterans to the best record in the NBA.
No,
the average age,
back-to-back years, right? Back-to-back years they did it.
Yeah, the average age of the Oklahoma City Thunder's roster is 22, whatever it might be. They're super young, and he's leading them to the best record in the NBA. And then we know the case for Nikola Jokic. I don't think it's an argument. He is the best player in the NBA. Maybe not the most valuable this year, but he's the best player. Top 5 in scoring, top 5 in assists, top 5 in rebounds, and he's also shooting 47%.
43% from 3.
43% from 3. I mean,
that's better than most great shooters in our
Come
league.
on, man. He said it himself. This is the best that he's ever played. And he's already won 3 MVPs. And I would agree with him. This is the best he's ever played.
This is a historic year. It's a historic season for any player. A lot of things he's done that a lot of guys have never done. 30, 20, and 20 Like, as much as I want to root for SGA and I want to vote for him, I can't. And I stand on what I said earlier in the year. If Denver breaks that top 4, they were number 2 in the West now. And this is without a bench and without Jamal Murray being healthy or playing at the level we used to seeing him play at. No all-stars helping him on that team. OKC's got 2, and they have a good young core and they have some depth. They have some, they have a good group. Denver, they've lost pieces every year, and he's gotten better and kept them up in the West every year. To bring them to a 2 seed, I mean, they lost last night, so they might have dropped to 3, whatever. But to bring them to a 2-3 seed and him have the best career year for himself, and he's already won 3 MVPs, an historic year that we've seen in the NBA for any individual, it's a no-brainer, man. It's
and I know, stop it.
And I want SGA. I like SGA. It's a no-brainer, bro. It's a no-brainer. What the hell are we talking about here? You can't. You don't vote for him as voters fatigue. That's the end of the day what it is. Because if he didn't win 3, this is hands down the pick you choose. Probably unanimous. The year Steph Curry won unanimous MVP, this is one of those situations. He doesn't deserve it. I think SGA deserves some votes. I thought SGA should have got some votes last year. He had a really good case last year. He got snubbed. I think he had a better case last year than he has this year.
Yeah, it's just
this is what he's doing. Jokic is doing. You can't deny the guy.
Yeah, for me, and I don't think it's not a no-brainer.
Bro, but the only way that you give this man, the only way you give SGA is if you go back to the statisticians and say they cheated. They gave this guy way too many assists. All right, we missed. He's got 500 too many, 100 too many more assists, 100 too many more rebounds. They gave him too many. That's the only way that you get this man to lose the MVP in my book. It's a no-brainer, bro.
It's okay. I don't agree that it's a no-brainer. I don't. But I am one of those people, Danny. I've always taken the MVP award and the word valuable for its literal meaning. Yes. Who is the most valuable person to the team? So, it has nothing to do with if you take your record.
Take Jokic off that team, take Shea off that team. What do those teams look like?
The Nuggets are not a playoff team.
Terrible. They're actually very bad. OKC, I think, is still pretty solid. I think OKC. They're Sacramento. They're San Antonio Spurs with the Wemby healthy. Like they're that type of record team. I feel like
it's when you provide that much utility, when you create that much. I think it's hard to beat. Give me 1 second.
Do your thing, bro.
You can just if you do the kitchen and the bathroom. Thank you. All right, and 3, 2. Yeah, I think when you actually look at the entirety of the utility, the points, rebounds, and assists, the points created from the assists, the defensive possessions that come to an end because he gets the rebound, it's undeniable. It really, and it's a shame because Shai Gilgeous is absolutely
he's having a great year. He's having an unbelievable year, and he should be rewarded for it. It's just hard to not vote for the guy who is making history.
Yeah. All right.
And honestly, he is the most valuable to that team. He's the most valuable player because without him, that team is the Wizards maybe.
Damn.
I don't know if it's that far, but they are at the bottom.
I'm like, damn, like where's
below the Sacramento's, they're below the Spurs, they're below those teams, the Suns, they're below those teams that play in. OKC would still be in the play-in, if not a playoff team. With that
the way that Jalen Williams is playing this year, I would agree.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Before we get out of here, we got one more thing. We got to talk about it. I think you know what I'm talking about, Danny. Yes. This past weekend.
Oh, man.
There was a confrontation at Crypto.com Arena. And it wasn't between the Lakers and the Celtics. It was between Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James. Now, some disclaimers here. Stephen A. Smith has been on the pod. LeBron James has been your former teammate in 2 different spots.
Mm-hmm.
I've
worked
You've worked a lot alongside both of them. I will reserve my thoughts for after yours. What did you think of the whole confrontation?
I thought it could have been handled differently. I'm a dad now, so I can kind of speak on my approach. I can't speak for everybody, so I understand protecting your son. And people say Bronny needs to step up. Bronny's really still a young kid. He's not a man yet. For people like, oh, he needs to handle himself. This is him still learning to become a man. Realistically in college at 18, 19, I didn't know how to stand up for myself like that either. Stephen A. has spoken about it on multiple platforms. He's given his opinion. I agree with all of his opinions, except with the fact that, the energy has changed on different podcasts he's gone on. Obviously he's a little bit looser on Gilbert's podcast, on his own podcast. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure as it stemmed and as he's got time to think about it, he called it weak. But end of the day, man, it's his job. You don't really need to explain yourself. It's your job. His job is to criticize people. Bron, you know that. And as a father, I guess you're trying to protect your son. He said he wasn't talking about Bronny. He was talking about Bron. Regardless, if he was talking about Bronny, that's the criticism he's open to now that he's in the NBA. And I understand as a dad, and you're tired of hearing the BS, you're tired of hearing these guys talk, and whether it's Skip, whether it's Stephen A., whoever it is, said you can have that conversation. But I think he wanted it to be known. He wanted the world to see, I'm checking him. I'm checking somebody that comes for my son, and that nobody's safe. Regardless of who you are, I'm going to check you, and I'm not going to be happy with you. For me, would I have done that? I don't know. I don't think so. I understand what comes with it. I see both sides of it. This is the media. This is their job, son. They're going to talk about you. You want them to stop talking about you? Let's get better. Let's play better. If I put you in that space, and also if I talk you up, they also don't just talk bad about Bronny. They talk good about Bronny too. So there's advantages to everything that's going on. So that comes with the territory as a James member. Your last name is James. You can't live a normal life, and I feel for you. I don't know how you did. That's it. I feel for you. I don't know how you've done it for 20 years, because being 17, 18 years old, being on the camera everywhere you go. But there are some perks to that. You get a chance to be a billionaire. You get a chance to travel the world private and not have to be in the public eye. And you get a lot of praise, as you should, because you deserve all the flowers. You and your family, how you raised your family, your homies around you. The standard is a gold standard, bro. Everything you touch, Titus. You know what I'm saying? He's just one of those people you don't come across. But with that said, it's gonna come the criticism. You know that. You know that's gonna come. So Stephen A's just doing his job, and Stephen A just leave it at that. You don't have to explain yourself, get emotional, talk about different platforms. Now people are thinking he's seeking attention and likes this type of, likes this type of attention. So,
but and at the same time, to your point, Stephen A. Smith is doing his job, and so I think there's some people.
He's
a provocateur.
Yeah. He's who he does. So anytime he tells a story, this is what he's going to be. It's going to give a lot of energy. He might have that same energy when he's in person. But the reason why he's number one in the world at his job, and he gets paid a lot of money to do this job, is because he brings that type of energy and entertainment to the platform. That's what he's going to do, whether speaking on you, whether speaking on Bronny, or any other NBA player, whether it's Danny Green or whoever else the hell he's going to talk about on the Lakers or outside of the Lakers. He's going to bring that energy. Knowing who he is, knowing your personnel, knowing the space, knowing this is a job. Stephen A. all you say is, this is my job, this is what I do, this is what they pay me to do. And I'm going to pig you up, and I'm going to criticize the same way. If you don't like it, I'm not here to make friends. You said that. This is part of the job. I understand you're coming to me as a father, but I got to do my job at the end of the day. Unfair to me. It's unfair to the people to not hear my true opinion of where I'm coming from and what I see.
And I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not Stephen A's true opinion. But even if it wasn't,
Yeah.
It's his job to be the mouthpiece for some people who do feel that way. Like, I don't think people.
Most people see that, yes, he's speaking for the majority of basketball people watch it, and that may not say those things. So he's speaking for
exactly
the opinion of the majority of people that are watching the game. And, I'm sure he does his surveys, polls, whatever. And he's like, all right, this is what most people see. And I'm going to try to, give the people. I mean, sometimes he'll go a different approach, but this is his job, end of the day, ultimately. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Let's hear you.
No, you're good. Like, I think it's hard for people to grasp that people like Stephen A or people in the media, the best of the best, say exactly what majority of people are thinking, and they do it knowing that there are going to be repercussions with other athletes. But LeBron James is not paying Stephen A. Smith. ESPN is. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that is where it's a little bit difficult, because I do think there are people who saw what Stephen A. Smith has said previously about Bronny and all that, and just like, yo, I can't believe he said that. But the fact of the matter is, he's just said a lot of things that people have been thinking. He was just bold enough to do it in the mannerism that he did. Now, with that being said, I don't blame LeBron James. LeBron acted as if, and you would expect a lot of humans to act.
Like a father.
Tell him like a father. And there's nothing wrong. End of the day, there's nothing wrong with what Stephen A. did, and there's nothing wrong with what LeBron did. It was a natural collision. Point blank, period. Stephen A. Smith is going to do his job. Yeah, and LeBron James is going to do his job as a father. Now, there's even some people. Now, the interesting part is that some people said that when Stephen A. Smith got on air and said, I'm pleading to you as a father. And that is really where it's like, yo, like, yeah, you could criticize Bronny, but don't
criticize me as a father.
Don't criticize me as a father. And I can understand LeBron for standing on that. I don't blame him at all, which is why I think what LeBron did is perfect.
He's a great father. He's a great father.
Yeah.
End of the day, he does his job as a father. So don't tell me how to raise my kids or be a father.
Yeah, and that right there is fair.
He should have pled to him as a Los Angeles Laker instead of as a father.
Yeah. But with that with that being said, again, I don't think people understand. Stephen A. Smith is paid to provoke. He's paid to make you feel a way. He's paid to either to make you love him, or he's paid to make you hate him. And he's paid to make you agree with him, and he's paid to make you disagree with him. He's not paid for you to be Switzerland about him. He's not paid for you to just be like, there you go, okay. Yeah. No. He's paid to evoke an emotion. And he does it with the best. So even when you say, like Stephen A., you should have never said that about how LeBron could be a better father. You know what ESPN said? That's the exact reaction that we want.
You want your check for the 15th? Or the first? Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And that's that. And you know what? People, going forward because of that take, people are gonna hate Stephen A. Smith. But you know what's not about to happen? They're not about to stop watching. They're not about to stop listening because he just made you feel something, and that's all people really want. They want to. Listen. Most of the people in America
agree or disagree and start to have a conversation. And this is the reason why these conversation topics happen in the barbershop. I now take Stephen A.'s take and go, and we have a bunch of discussions about it with the whole
exactly.
Chat. So he's stirring up conversations. That's his job.
That's his job. And even when it's like for example, I would estimate 75% of football fans hate the Dallas Cowboys. But when the Dallas Cowboys play on Sunday, 100% of people are watching because you either
watch
to see them lose or to see them win. Yeah. Because they make you feel something. And that is what Stephen A's job is at its core level, to make you feel. And whatever way he has to get there, as long as it's not immoral, he's going to get there. It's the name of the game.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, well. Moving on, because it's time to move on. I'm tired of hearing it, tired of seeing it on my feed. It happened. It was a collision, natural collision. Both sides are fine.
It's a natural collision.
It
was a natural collision. Yeah, well, it won't be the last time that there'll be some controversy because that's just how it goes. But I think that's pretty much it. Good episode, my friend, and we'll be back next week, y'all. Danny, tell them what to do, please.
Read, rate, subscribe, review. Peace.